He couldn't see the smoke. But his dog could smell it before anyone screamed. On the 78th floor of the North Tower, a blind man reached for the harness, and his fingers met fur, steady, calm, waiting. Around them, fluorescent lights flickered, coffee spilled, and someone dropped a phone that never stopped ringing. A vibration ran through the walls like a low growl. No alarms. No announcements. Just a pause, and then panic. But not from her. She didn't flinch. As others froze or ran in opposite directions, she turned her head toward the stairwell. He followed, because she had never once led him wrong. 20 minutes earlier, it was just another Tuesday morning. Now, something unimaginable was unfolding above them. And they were walking straight through it. Hit like, subscribe, and let's go. Every morning, Mark left his small New Jersey home at 6:45 sharp, briefcase in hand and his left hand gently resting on the harness beside him. Lila, his yellow Labrador guide dog, walked with quiet confidence, her pace familiar, her turns precise. At the train station, they were a known pair, some smiled, some stepped aside. He worked on the 78th floor of the North Tower, managing tech systems for a growing firm. To him, each floor felt like a rhythm, each hallway like a memory. They always stopped near the coffee machine. Lila waited patiently as he chatted with coworkers. There was nothing heroic about it, just two souls moving as one through a world built for sight. It was a calm Tuesday, warm sun rising behind glass towers. No one knew how quickly that warmth would turn to shadow. At 9:03 a.m., the building trembled. Mark felt it first through the soles of his shoes, a deep, shuddering thump that didn't belong. Mugs rattled, papers shifted, and for a split second, everything stood still. Then came the sound, distant, metallic, and wrong. He turned his head instinctively, but saw only darkness. Lila froze beside him, her body suddenly alert, muscles tensed but steady. People around them started murmuring. A phone dropped. Someone gasped. There was no fire alarm, no voice on the intercom, only silence, and that strange, low creak in the walls. Mark placed a hand on Lila's back. She didn't move. Then, slowly, she turned toward the stairwell. That was all he needed. The routine was gone. The floor felt foreign. And for the first time in years, he wasn't sure what came next. The stairwell door creaked open, and a wave of warm, stale air met them. Mark gripped the handrail with one hand, Lila's harness with the other. People were moving fast, too fast. The rhythm of footfalls was uneven, panicked. Someone bumped his shoulder. Another pushed past. He heard coughing, the sound of heels slipping on concrete. Lila's movement stayed smooth, but her body was tighter now, more alert. The air thickened with every floor, the scent of smoke growing bolder, sharper. Mark couldn't tell what was happening above, or below. No instructions, no fire crews. Just footsteps, faster now. He felt sweat on his palms. His breathing shallow. Were they too late? Was this the right way? For the first time in Lila's life, she hesitated at a landing. Only for a second. Then she moved. And he followed. Somewhere around the 50th floor, the rhythm changed. The stairwell grew darker, hotter, but quieter. A voice called out, calm and steady, directing others downward. Mark couldn't see him, but the man's tone cut through the fear like a handrail in the dark. Keep moving. Help's coming. You're okay. It wasn't certainty, but it was something. Lila pressed forward, more deliberate now. Mark remembered her training in California, how she'd been taught to ignore panic, to move through fire drills like a machine. That memory steadied his breath. He whispered to no one, just thinking, she knows what to do. I trust her. The stairs narrowed, but she didn't slow. She was reading the chaos through scent, sound, heat. Mark didn't need to understand the danger. He just needed to hold on, and not let go. By the 30th floor, the air was thick with smoke. Breathing became harder. People were coughing, leaning against walls, helping strangers who stumbled. Someone near Mark collapsed. He felt the rush of movement as others tried to lift them. But Lila kept moving, pausing only when Mark faltered. Then, she pulled. Not hard, just enough. He tightened his grip, heart pounding. He couldn't see the danger, but he could feel the heat, the urgency in her muscles. At one point, a loud crack echoed through the stairwell. Concrete? Steel? They didn't know. Dust fell like ash. A scream above them. Still, they pushed on. Lila led through turns, around clusters of people, past fear thick as the smoke itself. Every step was risk. But stopping was no longer an option. The tower was shifting. And they were still inside it. Around the 10th floor, everything slowed. The crowd thinned. The stairwell stretched quiet, like holding breath underwater. Mark could hear only his footsteps, Lila's pads on concrete, and the echo of someone sobbing 2 landings below. The smoke was still there, but lighter now. His legs trembled with each step, not from pain, but from the not knowing. Was the tower still safe? How much farther? Was anyone waiting at the bottom? Lila paused briefly, ears tilted back, nose lifted. Then she moved again, slower now, as if listening to something Mark could never hear. He trusted her. He always had. But the silence felt wrong, like a question without an answer. In that moment, between floors, between fear and relief, time stretched thin. All he could do was follow. And wait for what came next. They burst through the lobby doors into light, blinding, thick with dust, but real. Mark stumbled, coughing, heart hammering. The ground trembled beneath them. People screamed. Behind them, the south tower began to fall. A roar, deep and final, filled the sky. Debris surged like a wave. Mark didn't run, Lila did. She pulled hard, veering left, faster than ever before. He followed only by instinct, steps wild and uneven. Around a corner, down a subway stairwell, they collapsed beside others. Silence followed. A silence so heavy it rang in his ears. He reached for her, she was shaking, covered in soot, tongue lolling. But she was alive. He held the harness, forehead to her shoulder, and breathed. Just once. Then again. They had made it out. Not safely. Not whole. But alive. A year later, Mark stood in a quiet school auditorium, holding Lila's worn harness in both hands. She had retired months earlier, her body slower, but her spirit untouched. He told the children how he never saw the flames, never saw the panic, only felt trust beneath his hand. That morning, he said, he didn't escape because he was brave. He escaped because he listened to someone who didn't need to speak. The room was silent. Some children blinked hard. Lila lay quietly at his feet, her ears twitching at every sound. Mark had lost colleagues. He had lost his sense of safety. But he had not lost the lesson, that loyalty can lead you through darkness, and courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it walks beside you on 4 legs, and never lets go. Today, Lila's harness rests in a glass frame beside a folded flag and a small plaque that reads, "She never once hesitated." Mark still walks with a guide dog, but he says there was only one Lila. Her photo sits near the window, where the morning light catches her eyes just right. Stories like theirs often go unnoticed, not because they aren't remarkable, but because they're quiet. Quiet like loyalty. Quiet like love. If this story touched you, take a moment to remember someone who led you through darkness, even silently. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and tell us below, if the lights went out, who would you trust to guide you through? We read every comment, and some may just become the next story we tell.